Hello and welcome to the news update on AFRICUNIA television, bringing you update from across the world from our studio here in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. And I'm Deborah Ezeh. Our news update today will begin from Nigeria, where Nigerians Accountant General Ahmed Idris was arrested on Monday night by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over alleged 80 billion naira fraud. Quoting sources had earlier reported the arrest of Idris by the anti-graft agency. A statement by EFCC Monday night said it verified intelligence showed that AGF racked up the funds through bogus consultancies and other illegal activities using proxies, family members, and close associates. It said the funds were laundered through real estate investments in Kano and Abuja. The anti-graft agency said Mr. Idris was arrested after failing to honor the invitation by the EFCC to respond to the issues connected to the Fraudulent Act. Still in Nigeria, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has said despite the federal government's effort to leverage the benefits of tax exemption and concessions, the incentive has rather led to huge revenue loss to the government. According to her, though the government is committed to reducing tax expenditure, the nation's current revenue to gross domestic product to GDP ratio of about 7% was poor and unsatisfactory. The minister stated this on Monday in Abuja at the workshop on tax expenditure organized by the ECOWAS Commission under the context of the implementation of the support program for tax transition in West Africa. According to Ahmed, Nigeria is faced with challenges in mobilizing domestic funds necessary for human capital development and infrastructure that are both drivers of sustainable economic growth and development. Ahmed disclosed that the government had recently issued a tax expenditure statement circular to relevant agencies of government, indicating guidelines and instructions for strict adherence, compliance, and reporting. Moving on, Mali late on Monday announced that security forces had thwarted a counter-coup attempt that is said was supported by an unnamed Western government. The announcement was the latest turmoil to unfold in the West African nation, where Colonel Assimi Goïta led coup in 2020 and 2021 before becoming president. The breakdown in relations prompted the French military to begin a withdrawal of its forces that spent 9 years fighting Islamic extremists. The attempt was meant to hinder or even annihilate the substantial efforts to secure the country and return to a constitutional order that guarantees peace and stability. Maiga said security forces had put down the coup last Wednesday night as security was increased at checkpoints on the roads leaving the capital Bamako and at the country's border in an effort to catch accomplices. In Guinea-Bissau, President Umaru Sissoco Embalo dissolved Monday the country's parliament and called for parliamentary election by the end of the year. In an address to the nation, the president cited persistent and unresolvable differences with the legislative body. He called for early parliamentary election in December. He said, and I quote, "I have decided to give the floor back to the people of Guinea so that once again this year they can freely choose at the ballot box the parliament they wish to have for an 11th term." End of quote. The parliament has long been dominated by African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde. President Embalo's party, Madem G15, did not secure the majority of the seats during the 2019 election, which fueled tensions between the legislative and executive branch. Corruption and embezzlement is also one of the issues raised by Embalo to explain his move. Still on the African scene, the most deadly attack targeted the volunteers for the defense of the fatherland in the town of Gusau in Sahel region north, killing some 20 people, including 8 VDP. According to the source, 5 other auxiliaries and the civilian were killed in Makoye in the same region, were killed on the same day, and information the security source confirmed, speaking of a series of attacks that mainly targeted the volunteers. In the southeastern province of Kompenga, close to the border with Togo and Benin, a convoy of civilians escorted by army auxiliaries was targeted by an attack. Burkina Faso has been the target of jihadist attacks since 2015, perpetrated by armed movements, some of which are affiliated to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group, and which have left more than 2,000 dead and 1.8 million displaced. Away from the African scene onto the foreign scene, clashes erupted in Libya's capital on Tuesday as the parliament-appointed Prime Minister Fatai Bashagha arrived to try to take control of government from a rival administration that refused to cede power. Journalists in Tripoli could hear the sound of gunfire, and Al Adad television published video clips showing what it said was fighting downtown and in the port. The violence followed Bashagha's entry into the city overnight, accompanied by an armed faction. His office released a statement saying it would carry on its duties from inside the capital. A plan to hold an election in December collapsed amid arguments among major factions and prominent candidates over the rules, and the parliament, which has sided with the East during the war, moved to appoint a new administration. The unity government's Prime Minister, Abdulhamid Haider Hiba, rejected the parliament's move, saying his administration was still valid and he would only hand over power after an election. In North Korea, military has been mobilized to distribute COVID medications and deployed more than 10,000 health workers to help trace potential patients as it fights a sweeping coronavirus wave. The isolated country is grappling with its first acknowledged COVID-19 outbreak, which it confirmed last week, fueling concerns over a major crisis due to a lack of vaccines and adequate medical infrastructure. The State Emergency Epidemic Prevention Headquarters reported 269,510 more people with fever symptoms, bringing the total to 1,483,060, while the death toll grew. It did not say how many people have tested positive for COVID-19. Tracing efforts were also intensified, with some 11,000 health officials, teachers, and medical students joining an intensive medical examination of all inhabitants across the country to locate and treat people with fever. Still on the foreign scene, hundreds of Indonesia's smallholder farmers on Tuesday staged a protest in the capital Jakarta and in other parts of the world's fourth most populous country, demanding the government end a palm oil export ban that has slashed their income. Indonesia, the world's top palm oil exporter, has since April 28th altered shipments of crude palm oil and some of its derivative products in a bid to control soaring price of domestic cooking oil. Reaching alongside a truck filled with palm oil fruits, farmers held a rally outside the office of the coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs, which is leading the government policy. Malaysian farmers are wearing full smile, Indonesia farmers so far. One of the signs held up by protesters read. In a statement, the smallholder farmer group AFRICUNIA said since the announcement of the export ban, the price of palm fruit had dropped 70% below the floor price set by regional authorities. Meanwhile, AFRICUNIA estimated that at least 25% of palm oil mills have stopped buying palm fruit for independent farmers. The protesters also plan to march to the presidential palace, as similar protests were also being held in 22 other provinces. We now head to the sports scene, where Arsenal's 2-0 defeat to Newcastle was a huge blow to their top four hopes, with Jamie Carragher now fearing for Mikel Arteta. Ben White's own goal and Bruno Guimaraes' late strike means that Arsenal remains 2 points behind Tottenham going into the final game of the season, with Spurs needing only a draw to finish fourth, giving their far superior goal difference. Carragher was highly critical of the performance at the St James Park, as Newcastle dominated possession from the outset, with Arsenal struggling to muster much at the other end. The defeat consigns Arsenal to the Europa League, and Jamie believes that they will have far-reaching ramifications for the Gunners and their coach. And finally, barely 1 month after US-based Nigerian sprinter Favour Ofili broke Blessing Okagbari's 200 meters national record, another Nigerian, Nathaniel Ezekiel, made big headlines as he broke Henry Amike's 35-year-old 400-meter hurdle national record to win Big 12 title in Texas, USA. Ezekiel, who moved to the US soon after representing Team Nigeria at the last Under-20 Championship in Nairobi, Kenya, last year competed for Baylor at the first Big 12 Championship. The record qualified the young Nigerian for the 2022 World Athletic Championship, holding in Eugene, US between July 15th and 25th. He also set a World Under-20 lead and NCAA lead and moved to 4th on the 2022 Global Top List. With Amike's 35-year-old record shattered at the weekend, only Yusuf Ali's personal best record of 8.27 meters, which is set during the African Athletic Championship in Lagos in 1989, still stands as a Nigerian record. And that concludes the news updates on AFRICUNIA television. Do ensure to follow all our social media platforms on Jointum, Pangram, Instagram, and on Facebook in that respective order. Visit our website on www.africunia.tv, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and leave a comment for me on the comment section. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.